single one of them, every single one of these religions, if you challenge them, they accuse you of wrong interpretation of my interpretation, but they can never get on the pulpit and speak the truth, because if you have to speak the truth, you have to speak about the atrocity of the God and those who follow that God. Now you may not commit an offense, a violent offense against someone else. Nevertheless, you are literally trying to convert others to people who has done so, and I don't really understand that.
You said your name's Vernon, yeah?
Yes.
I haven't had that name in a long time, Vernon. It reminds me of a Harry Potter character. That's how I'm going to remember. Okay, so Vernon, I appreciate your concern, and it's definitely a concern that you're not the only one that's raised this. The problem of evil. Yeah. Do you believe in God?
No, I know there is a God. I don't believe in it. There's a distinct difference between believing and knowing. As we are indoctrinated and conditioned, we find ourselves locked into systems of belief. But what is a belief? It has no foundation because it changes. Take your religion, for example. There's a gentleman who had an experience in a cave. From that experience, a book was written. But out of that book that was written, there's another 1,000 books that's written of the same thing, with little different shades inside of it. So one cannot really actually tell which one is the correct book. It's the same as Christianity, and I think Christianity.
Do you believe that the books are there's only minor differences in the books?
Well, you have minor differences, but you should not have minor differences. My idea of
like the Quran compared to the Vedas, compared to the Old Testament. Do you believe that all the books have minor differences or major differences?
Major differences.
Yeah, I agree, because
they have major differences, but they should not have major differences. If you have the Word of God,
yes,
then every book should have exactly the same thing.
I agree with
if it comes from the Word of God.
I agree with
and if we don't find that, then it means that there is a mind, there's a mind somewhere that is distorting everything and conditioning us. Because when I came here about 20 years ago, I decided not to come back for the simple reason is what I observe here is that there is a conflict of emotion that goes on. You have Christian on one side, Islam on another side, and they're having this ridiculous argument about who is right and who is wrong and who is the real God and who is the wrong God. It's so crazy, I don't understand it.
But Vernon, bear one thing in mind as well. Just because there's difference of opinion, that doesn't mean, I'll give you an example. What if somebody says, it's very crude examples, I don't want to insult your intelligence, but just for a simple one for our audience, if somebody says 1 + 1 is 2, someone says 1 + 1 is a carrot, someone says 1 + 1 is a triangle. Now just because there are various opinions, that doesn't now mean that because there's varying opinions that the question is wrong, that there isn't one answer, that we can't sit down and we can't find out the answer. Yes, I agree with you. There is a decorum that we need that needs to be had. For example, if we just turn our attention towards there are certain shouting matches that take place. There are certain people that get physical with each other. There are certain people that get very aggressive with each other. I will actually join hands with you, and we would go to the other side of the park to speak and engage with those people that genuinely are interested. Like you saw the conversation that I had with Michael, a very, honorable, respectable discussion. You saw I was very open as well. Anything that he said, we were having that discussion. We were trying to reach an agreement and consensus using something that is benchmark, like logic, reasoning, something that we agree with at the beginning. Somebody else might agree on a different criteria, but I think that's what it is.
But why should there be a different type criteria? That's different. That's the thing that fascinates me.
I agree with you. I think the criteria needs to be one.
It's very confusing.
Yeah.
You understand? And because of that, we have violence and we have emotional arrogance and all the likes of that, because of all these variations. On one subject, one man, one prophet, or a few prophets, or whatever it may be, and yet you have all these different conflicts of emotion going on over it. There are about 2,000 religions on the planet, and there's only one that is the true religion. That's the one you belong to, or the one I belong to, or the one that he belongs to. And we take what they tell us and we believe it, we accept it as our truth, and then we want to defend it.
Here's the thing with that.
You have something with you. I don't know what it is, but you have the ability to understand and to search, to seek the truth or understanding or whatever it may be. I have an understanding of life based solely on experiences, and I happen to know that God is unconditional love. Unconditional love cannot judge. It's impossible. If it decides to judge, it becomes unbalanced. That is to say, it must love Hitler exactly the same way as it loves the saint. He cannot make a choice of one and not the other. And that's what this God that we are talking about every day, that's what he did. The first murder that occurred on this planet, with Cain and Abel, that it was that God that caused that to happen.
Do you believe we have free will?
Oh yes. We have free will, but we are also conditioned. We are also indoctrinated and to be servile towards whoever it is that's indoctrinating us.
So the first person to commit the murder, who is he indoctrinated by?
Very simple. I was going to make that example. You have two kids. You love both of them. So both of them give you a present. One gave you a lamb as a sacrifice. One gave you a branch, a twig. What would you do as a father? You would love them both. But no, he decided to love the one that gave him the lamb more. The other one becomes jealous. The other one, and we see this on our planet today. If you do that to children, the one that you ignore will always go back, and he can suffer and become very violent as he grows up because he's lacking in love. So the other one wanted God love. So he thought, if I kill him, God will then have no choice but to love me.
Yeah, you've made some...
It's simplified,
yeah.
I know, but it's what is read. I read that.
Yeah, you've made some fantastic points. There's a number of them, so I was just trying to remember them so I can answer them one by one. When you say that there is religion, people hijack that religion, then what you're saying is that, you know what, just put that to the side and just go with humanity. Go with the things that we have in common. Go with the common things. I would say that it's human beings in general. The mere fact that we have free will means we have choice. Now, when you say we are conditioned and we are forced, I would argue the opposite. Despite being a Christian country, the majority of this country, the adherents are actually atheists. Even when you go to other countries, like even countries in which religion is very staunch, you'll still see the kind of leaning towards Western ideals, Western principles, dressing in a certain way, watching certain movies. So I would argue that yes, the danger is certain kind of ideologies, but I turn your attention somewhere else and say that the ideologies are actually the isms and schisms, and the most dangerous one that we're seeing is actually liberalism. Liberalism, which is actually telling us to worship the soul and worship ourselves, the individual. And oh, why is this right? Why is this wrong? There is no right and wrong. It's whatever you feel. That's right and wrong. So when
can you just stop there?
Sure.
Because that's very unusual coming from a religious person. You are correct. There is no right and there is no wrong. And that can be, you can use an analogy as to say that in order for me to know a thing, I must first know its opposite. So if I'm to know good, then what you decide, what you regard as evil or wrong is important. Because without that, I would not have known what is good. It's like what is hot. How would I know what's hot if cold does not exist? How would I know what's short if tall did not exist? So you can use that analogy as well. But what I... Pardon? Yeah. One of the things that we first must try to understand is that we arrive on this planet as a blank tape. Just like a computer, you buy a new computer. Whatever you put in that computer is what you would find. It's what you put there. It's the same as a child. When a child is born and is taken home, every move is recorded. Every smile is recorded. Every word you say is recorded. Everything, the child takes it in just like that. If it speaks a language different from English, the child would end up doing the same thing. So whatever is put into that child's mind, brain, is what that child becomes.
Do you believe there's no right and wrong?
No, I don't
believe it.
No, because we need. If we are to know what is right, then we must know the opposite of right.
Where do we get that from? The knowledge of right and wrong?
Well, the knowledge of right and wrong is an indoctrination. It starts with this God, the God that people on this planet believe in. That's where it all starts. He tells you, he comes here because he accuses us of being sinners. And
we don't believe that, though.
Well, I'm just saying, in the Christian thing, and he decided that he is going to kill us left, right and center, genocidal against us, to get rid of sinners. But he must have failed because we're more sinners today than we ever been before. So that's a failure. So if I take the Christian reality, once you have that idea, once you read that, then you throw it in the gutter. I made that decision when I was 12. No, when I was 12, I contemplated it. And when I was 14, I made that decision. And I made it because I went to a cousin of mine who was 4 years older, and I told him that I've always, as a child, I was an observer. So I listened to everything. No sentence was mentioned in my community unless the word God was in it. Mm-hmm. So I decided that I didn't want to have anything to do with this God, but I was terrified because I didn't know what he would do to me. But I went to see my cousin and I was explaining it to him, and during this explanation I'm talking to him, I asked him a question and he said, one does not question the word of God. Well, I will never support anything that if I can't question it.
These are experiences that you've had, these are things that you've been told. It doesn't necessarily mean that that has to become your reality now. It doesn't necessarily mean that, just because you've had a few negative experiences that you have to put it all to the side. It just means that we need to kind of associate. I'll give you an example. If I enter a shop in which everyone's smoking, even if I'm not smoking, I'm going to come out leaving off smoke. Yeah, so
that is correct.
Yeah, so I agree with you in the sense that we are a product of our environment, but I also want to put forward as well that now with the world being a global village and books at our disposal, analyses at our disposal, the social media, the internet, that we can search up any book ever written, access libraries, access knowledge. So I don't think that case now that is that indoctrination, that we have to be stuck with that indoctrination. I think there's enough knowledge available to us for us to make up our own minds, and that's literally what we're doing here. I'll give you an example. Like, if it was, I'm not saying you accused me of this, because I think you saw me favorably, that's why you approached me. Here, I would rather have a conversation with somebody, present my questions to them, present my view to them, and have them challenge it. Because the Quran does the same thing, Vernon. The Quran says, produce your proofs if you are truthful. Prophet, peace be upon him, said, asking good questions is part of your knowledge. Yeah? Asking good questions, is half of your knowledge. And the Quran again invites us, if you don't know, ask those who do know. And because you mentioned quite a few things, and they were very good points, and they are points that a lot of people have issues with, which is that certain people have hijacked religion for their own nefarious causes and reasons. And I can give you case studies of that. After they invaded Iraq, Saddam's army They were the Baathists. They had hijacked the religion, and that's how ISIS came about. It was a hijacked version to promote its own political ideology, because Karen Armstrong then gave a few examples of people that were in ISIS's custody, and they were saying that when we asked for the Quran, they had no Quran. When it was Salah time, they were not praying, so they were not a religious-minded people. You might say, okay, that's one religious example. I'll give you a secular example. Stalin, Joseph Stalin, of the Marxist-Lenin ideology. He actually suppressed, and scientists during his era were oppressed. They were oppressed. You had some, weird...
You mean in the people? You meant the people?
Yeah, so amongst his constituency, the people that he was ruling over, he wanted certain scientific principles to be put forward, even though they had very little evidence, like Lysenkoism, amongst others. Even his knowledge of evolution, it was a distorted version that the rest of Europe didn't necessarily agree with. Lysenkoism, the rest of Europe and the rest of the countries didn't necessarily agree with. However, because he wanted to forward his political ideology, same I can say with Hitler as well, who was a practicing atheist rather than anything else, somebody that favored, Friedrich Nietzsche and evolution. But even the people that favor Nietzsche now, they say he and his party distorted Nietzsche's teachings. They distorted Darwin's evolution theory. So this, Vernon, is what I'm trying to tell you, that we as human beings have free will, and it's not going to change that human beings want power, they want control, and they want money. This is the base desires of human beings. So if something comes from God, then it has to be something that controls these things. If we say, look, let's just go to our own principles that we all agree with, I'm telling you, we can't even agree what is a man, what is a woman. These are the heads of Western liberals. You have people sitting in the Shura councils of these universities, and I'm telling you, as somebody that I did a short course on LGBT at Oxford University, I'm telling you, what I saw in those sessions were very problematic. And I'm telling you, it's coming top down. It's not even coming up from the bottom up. So what I'm trying to say is that if we don't have objective morality, and look, Vernon, I'm telling you, we can agree on certain principles, and we can agree that, look, this is more closer to the truth than that. However, we should be able to say that, look, to you, your religion, to us, our religion. Lakum dinukum waliya din. This is what the Quran says. Quran doesn't say, oh, a man came down, God had to come into this man to get rid of the sins. No. Vernon, if you standing here you claim you're not a Muslim.
I'm not religious.
Yeah, you're not religious, yeah? So if you are not a Muslim, and if I oppress you,
no,
if I oppress you,
okay,
and you're not a Muslim, and you pray just something from your heart, and you say, his God, he has oppressed me, God would listen to your prayer. He would listen to your prayer against me.
Listen. That's one of the things that I disagree immensely with. I think prayers are futile, and I'll tell you why I think they're futile. I know that there is a creator.
When you say futile, do you mean there's
useless,
no benefit?
Useless.
No benefit whatsoever.
Useless. And I'll give you an example of that. But I'll start off this way. I know that the creator has is unconditional love. I know that.
Where do you know that from, though? If you don't believe in any scripture.
One day, we will speak again.
Okay.
And then you will gradually get to a different kind of understanding.
Okay.
Because I only ever speak from experience. I don't have an education, so therefore I'm not going to try to impress you or anyone. However.
Vernon, I guess what you're trying to say is you're uneducated. You just have a subjective experience. and you want to convince me of...
No. I don't wish to convince you.
Okay.
I don't wish to convince anyone.
Right.
I stand here and I listen to you.
Okay.
And you were not trying to convince me.
Right.
You've said certain things that resonate within me, and give me the feel, and I thought that I would like to speak with you.
Okay.
But the fact is that I am not religious, and that would create a kind of problem or conflict, because whatever I'm saying, it's like if I'm challenging your religion, but I'm not challenging your religion.
Look, my name is Ishan,
Yeah.
I come here as frequently as I can. Now that it's winter, maybe a bit less, but I'm on social media as well. If you watch my videos, you will realize I don't mind people challenging me. So in this conversation, I don't want you to feel that I'm going to get offended, or you can't say this, or you can't say that. I want you to be yourself. I want you to put your cards on the table so I can see what your cards are, and then we can, because I see you as a respectable, I see you as a respectable elder of mine.
I've just told you that I consider praise to be futile.
Yes,
I'll explain to you.
Yes.
I'll give you an example.
Yes.
In your religion, you pray, I don't know how many times a week, but quite a lot.
Yes.
That much I do know.
Yes.
I look at what happened in Iraq,
Yes.
in Libya,
Yeah.
what happened in Gaza.
Yeah.
I look at these things, and although I'm not there, I know for a fact that everyone that walks in those countries, they pray every single day, and then they get blown to pieces. No one answers their prayer, and there's a reason for that. And I'll tell you what the reason is. I'll tell you something that you can't accept. We create our experiences. What those people experience in Gaza, what they experience there now, is that they are teaching us. They are teaching us that we are living among demons, you can say, because only demons act like that, and that's what they did.
Only demons don't want to free Palestine.
They are sacrificing their life so that we might have a better understanding of what is going on. That's how I see it. I think that God. I know that God created us. I know that we have a soul within us, which is qualitative part of the Creator, and I know that that soul allows us to know what is considered to be right and what is considered to be wrong. I know that every human being on this planet must participate or should participate in religion. I know that they should do things that is wrong, because when you do something is wrong, you have that feeling within you. Then you make a choice. Do I want to feel this bad again because of what I've done? And the choice is no, I don't.
Vernon, you said that the prayers of the people that have been blown to bits, they were not accepted. What makes you think that?
Well, when I say they're not praying to be killed or to be harmed, they're praying, please God, let me live. Please God, don't let my children be hurt. Don't let my children die. But the children die and they're hurt. That's what I mean. So, but you see, I explained to you in the beginning. Yeah. I explained this to you in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's very important. Well, for me, it's important. God does not interfere. He does not participate in our way of life. He remains unconditional love. And if he decided to choose this gentleman or that gentleman in preference to you, he becomes unbalanced. He's no longer unconditional love. That is why Jesus said that the Father judgeth no man. Because if he judge, he can no longer remain unconditional love.
So would you say like a murderer is equal to, say, a brain surgeon?
Well, no, I'm not saying yes, because everyone has a purpose. Everything on this planet is teaching us.
So a murderer is as good as a brain surgeon?
What would you learn from a murderer? What we learn from a murderer and what we learn from a brain surgeon are two different things, but the fact is we're learning anyway.
I'm talking about their goodness though, because you said God loves them. They're the same in the sight of God. Unconditionally. They're both the same in the sight of God.
Yes, because if you are, well, imagine, think of it. If you are complete, if you are complete,
if a murderer is the same as a brain surgeon, then that's big problems then.
Well, because who created the murderer?
It's not about who created it. Yes, God created both of them, gave them both free will. One chose to murder people, the other one chose to save people.
Okay.
It's a choice.
Yes, of course it is, but nevertheless, both of them are teaching us something.
They're teaching us something, but one is teaching us the wrong thing.
Well, this is an academy. Down here, Earth is an academy.
He can't be as good as the person saving people.
No, we can't judge it that way. That he is as good. The fact remains is that this is an academy, and we are here to learn.
So do you think there's something, like, if you can't judge, do you think there should be no one in the prisons?
Well, I think I've given that a thought, and I thought to myself, prison is absolutely ridiculous, because you go to prison because you get punished for doing something wrong, and then after you die, you get punished by God again. So you're being punished twice.
But they don't believe in God, the people putting them in prison.
Oh, yeah, the people that put them in prison don't.
It's a secular system, isn't it?
Yeah, they don't believe in God.
Well, it's a secular system, so their punishment is based upon a secular system, excluding of God.
Well,
they're in Europe anyway.
My way of thinking is that I do not think that evil exists for the sake of punishment.
Do you think the prison system should be abolished? No one should go to prison.
Now anybody can buy a Jewish Torah, Christian gospel.
The only thing that I ever think of prison is that if there is a God that punishes people, then it seems to me it's unfair that a man is being punished twice for a crime.
Don't you think it's unfair that a person that doesn't believe in God, they get punished and they are supposed to wait for a punishment in the hereafter when they don't even believe in the hereafter as well?
But that's an accusation that I don't think that that's a good accusation, because what you're saying to me is...
I'm saying the majority of this country is atheist.
Yeah, what you're saying to me is that when a person goes to prison,
they're going to get judged.
That person does not believe in God.
No. I'm saying that the person sending them in prison doesn't believe in God. The judge.
The person that's sending the judge. Well, that's a possibility. But then there's lots of people that believe, lots of people that walk about with a religious book, and they do evil things anyway.
But you said there's no necessarily an agreed definition upon what's evil. It's what a person believes to be evil. They're all teaching us something.
No, I don't think it's what a person believes to be evil. The person who believes something is evil, to me, is mindless. I think that if a person does something that's evil,
do good.
And if I was to experience being present when something like that happened, it all has to do with how I feel within.
Okay, if my father is on the floor, and I've got my hands like this, and I'm thumping him on the chest, is that good or bad?
I don't agree with all of it.
I have a different way of thinking about life. For example, if I was to walk in the road here today, and a little child was to be knocked down by a car, I am quite capable of walking along like if it never happened. I know it sounds funny, but let me tell you, as I walked along, I might smile. And the reason that I would smile is because I think, oh, that person has arrived here, had her experience or his experience, and they've gone back. That's how I look at it that way.
Can you pick them up so they can have a better experience?
Well, I think
just tap them on the back and say, look, everything's going to be okay.
The goodness of a human being is that they would go down and they would pick up the child, they would probably cry, they would feel really terrible inside. But my way of looking at it is that child came here to have that experience, and that child leaves.
So what about the experience of me thumping my dad on the chest?
That's frustration. That's really, that has done you something wrong and you want to get the frustration out of you. That's how I see that.
So it's bad, yeah?
No, I don't see it as being bad. Your dad might see it as being bad. You might feel it being bad after, but it's nothing to do with me.
No, I think it's good.
Oh, you think it's good?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So if you think it's good, it's good. And if your dad thinks it's bad, it's bad.
Shall I tell you why I think it's good, just in case you don't think I'm a psychopath? The reason why I said his chest, and the reason why I did my hands like this, even though it's not technically the correct way, it was me performing CPR on him.
Okay.
Because I'm on the phone with the paramedics. They said, look, we're going to be there in 7 minutes. We want you to give him CPR until we get there. Breathe in his mouth and thump him in the chest.
And humans love to gossip, and they pass along and see that, and they think, what a horrible man. See?
No, but you're going to think I'm a good man, though.
Well, Well, it wouldn't worry me. I mean, it depends on you. We all have this great ability within us to differentiate what is good and what is bad. And what is good is what makes us feel good inside. I mean, if I done something wrong...
What about if, for me to, I don't want to use this word, but if I rape somebody,
yeah,
and that makes me feel good, does that make it good?
Well, if it makes you feel good, it's good for you.
So it's good. I shouldn't be in prison for it.
Well, whatever, but it's good for you.
Yeah.
It's not good for him. He might judge you as being horrible.
But it doesn't matter by his
Well,
judgment.
it doesn't matter, I agree. But I'm just saying, the fact remains is that you feel good, what you do, and that's it.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with that?
So I shouldn't go to prison, should I?
Well, I don't know what you should do from what you shouldn't do.
No. I don't want. Okay, I don't want to go to prison. Why should they force me to go to prison? That's wrong.
Well, it's wrong, and it's wrong going to prison. I don't know. That's the world we live in. We live in a society where
that's messed up.
If we do something wrong, then we judge by it. I mean, I lost my temper with someone once, and I
stabbed them.
No.
Why not? Why not though?
I have tried to do that once. Just a second. I was about 21 years of age, and I got into a thing with a bloke.
Why did you stop though? Why didn't you just...
Well, that's something that you would have to be... I don't know if you'd be able to understand it. But I'm not here to do things like that.
Why not though?
Well...
If that person is causing you issues...
Do you mind facing the light, but like this way?
Like this?
Yeah.
Okay, alright.
Please.
So if that person was causing you grief, getting rid of him would make you happy. Isn't it worth doing?
I'm trying to be 100% honest with you.
I want you to be.
And I'm not trying to think. What I'm saying to you is I once had a confrontation, alteration with someone, and I lost my temper, and I got this... We fought a little, and then I picked up this bottle, went like that.
Yeah.
And as you break it that way, you get 2 prongs.
Yes.
And he was down there, and I was over him like that, and I was trying to stab him.
Yeah.
And I was like that, and my hand couldn't move. But that I didn't understand that. It took me another 20, 25 years for me to understand why I couldn't do that. See what I mean? So I have some very unusual experiences in my life.
Do you think maybe they were indoctrinations though?
No, how can
subjective experiences can be indoctrination?
No, nothing to do with indoctrination, because I was too naive, and I never think of things like that. I never even heard the word indoctrination.
So, okay, coming back to this example when you were about to stab the guy, if you had stabbed him, but your intention was he took away my happiness, by me stabbing him, he's finished now, I will be happy.
Well, I'm contented. Yes, I would be.
So it's okay then, isn't it?
Because the story that I was about to tell you is that I lost my temper once, and I put someone in hospital for about 10 days. And the police became involved. The person who was in hospital, he told the police he didn't know who did it. And the police arrested another 3 people who was present, and they said they didn't see anything. And in the end, the police locked them up in the cell, and then the police said to them, "You'll stay there until you remember or you see something." So they end up saying it was me. But my solicitor explained to me that all I have to do is play not guilty. Those people that were witnesses, what they say does not count, because the police put them in a prison, into the cell, to get that information out of them, so it doesn't count. But what I did, I was satisfied, so I went and said I was guilty and got 3 years, first offense. Spent 13 months. No, best thing ever happened to me. I'm very lucky like that. To me, I don't see things like other people do. I think going to prison might have been a disappointment, but I think every disappointment is for the better. And while I was there for those 14 months, I think I must have read about 10 books. That's the first time in my life I ever read a book.
So Vernon, here, if I started giving you the right and giving you the left here, just because a thought came into me that would make me happy, would that be good? Would that be okay?
It would be okay for you, but not for me. That's the difference.
But it wouldn't matter what you think. What matters is my happiness, right?
Yes, it's your happiness. It's your life.
So it's okay then, isn't it?
Well, to you it's okay.
Yeah.
It might not be okay to everyone else.
I don't care about everyone else, though.
Well, it's okay for you. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
If it makes you feel good, it means you're wired differently. It means that you're capable of doing something evil and enjoying it.
But that's the thing, though. Why is it evil?
I didn't say it was evil.
Yeah.
I said if you do something that is evil or wrong and you enjoy it.
But it's not evil, though, is it?
Well, you say it's not evil. We exist on the planet of duality. That's something that you have to accept. We exist on the planet of duality, and there are those among us who are so superior advanced, mentally speaking, to we are. They are quite capable of having us doing things that normally we wouldn't do. Through whatever.
When you say duality, what do you mean? You mean everything has its opposite? Yeah?
Yes. Pardon?
What's the opposite of a rock?
A smaller rock.
It's not the opposite.
Yeah, it is. It's smaller, so then it vibrates different. It's totally different. What is the opposite? I don't think that is a good example. A rock is a rock.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
So then, what are you going to talk about the opposite of a rock? I mean, how
That's
do you
why
get
I suggested that. Yeah.
It's kind of. Are you teasing me?
No, I'm genuinely curious because because you said we live in a duality and there's no getting out of that. So
I didn't say there's no getting out of that.
Okay.
This planet is a planet. This planet is an academy.
Yeah.
It's a place of learning. And if we are going to progress and learn, we have to experience the opposite, because it's through the opposite that allows us to know. And that's why I don't think that evil or wrong exists for the sake of punishment. I think it exists for us
What's the opposite of skin?
The opposite of skin?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. What is it?
I don't know. Yeah, I can't think of anything. Same with the rock. I can't. These are things, because when you said duality, I was thinking, is everything in a duality?
Duality, when I refer to duality, I'm referring to the perceptive mind, how we perceive things, and how we react to those things.
What do you mean?
Well, the way we perceive, what we perceive is right. Someone else might perceive that as wrong. So it's how we perceive things.
What if someone perceives something as skin? What's the opposite of skin?
I don't know.
So how can they observe the opposite of skin?
I don't know why you're speaking funny. You're speaking kind of weird. I don't understand.
No. I guess, look, when you say everything, the point that I'm trying to say is to say that everything exists in opposites and in a duality. I don't think that's a very strong principle. That's why I'm giving you some examples that challenge that.
Why do you think you have religion? Why do you think you have religion?
Because
does religion exist to teach us to be moral? To make us see the difference between right and wrong, and to ask us to do what is right? Isn't that the reason for religion?
The religion I believe religion is for us to know God.
Well, for us to know God. Well, how are you going to know God through religion? How can you know that? You can't say
Yeah.
I know God. You can say I believe in God.
Yeah. No, but you said you don't believe in God. You know God. That was a distinction.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Because I have that experience.
So I have the experience. Why you deny my experience?
Well, my experiences don't come from the book.
It does, though.
No, it does
because
not.
you referenced scripture, you referenced certain frustrations that you had, and the examples you gave were from the Christian faith. You may not believe in it, but you can't say you're not influenced by it.
Well, let me explain to you. Let me explain to you so you have a better idea. If I said to you that I know something, okay, it means that it's an experience that is in alignment with what I experience. That is to say that I have an experience of this, and then you say something, and what you say relates to the experience that I have. So in that way it resonates. And that allows me to know that what you're saying is true, because my experience is true.
There's certain issues with that. For example, a child that's born colorblind. That child could be sitting in a class with other people, a teacher's asking him or saying that, look, if somebody can tell me which of these characters is red, they get a cookie. And he can't perceive the color red because his brain can't register the color red. But to him, red is grey. So if he's arguing with the teacher that it's grey, but he doesn't get the cookie, then he can't say, look, this is what the color red is. Because in order for you to say what the color red is objectively, it has to match with the experiences of other people. There has to be a collective here. So when you're looking at, for example, colors, when you're looking at, for example, a child that's brought up in an abusive household in which that child is used to getting beats, for them to be put in a foster home in which they're not getting beats would be very unusual. There have been cases where people have deliberately, when they've grown up, they've sought out abusive partners because that's what they believe to be love. So if a person is given validation of their own subjective experience, Vernon, it's very problematic. You're going to really create disenfranchised, abused individuals that have had very troubled experiences. It's only through the collective experience that we can measure objectively, this is what's correct, this is what's wrong. But I would even argue, even through the collective experience, there are still flaws in that. That's why my final stance is to get something is objectively. Objective morality that comes from God. God tells us this is right, this is wrong. Because as human beings, we will start debating about whether a child can be killed or not. We can be debating about if this person is a man or a woman. We can be debating if we can take something from a child, we can slap a child or not. All of these things will be something that will be up for debate till the end of times. There will be no one agreement. In fact, what you're going to have, Vernon, is not a number of like 3-4 big islands. You're going to have hundreds and thousands of small islands. And this is what the sociologists have said about this generation, the Generation X that we are going through. Because everybody is on their own journey, everyone's looking at their own thing, everyone's an island. That's why when things are going on, people are just walking by.
I think you're too intelligent, institutionally speaking.
You know what? In what sense, though?
Pardon?
When you say
the way you present yourself, the words that you use, and such shows that
I'm actually anti-institution.
Well, it shows that you're anti-institution, and that means that you don't really know where you're headed, because you're anti-institution, and at the same time you have an education from the institution.
No, because it's like the point that you said beforehand about the police and the prisons. It's a system that we have. Unless, like, if I had parents that gave me the option of homeschooling in school, or that they were, you know, ahead in that thinking, then that would have meant me being able to escape the system. But because I had parents that were dependent upon the system, I had to go through the system. But that free will then kicked in when I was able to go through the system. I could see the hypocrisies and the inconsistencies that were taking place. Because something that, and you rightly pointed out, if something is from God, it's not supposed to be contradictory, there's not supposed to be inconsistencies in it, and that's what I then have looked into pertaining the prophecies of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the Quran, and I have seen that they are consistent with logic, morality, philosophy. When I look at, say, the liberal system that I've been...
It's also consistent of violence. But you don't say that.
No, but I'm not a pacifist. I don't believe that all violence is bad, though, and neither do you.
Pardon?
I said I don't believe that all violence is bad, and neither do you. So what's the problem?
The problem to me is this. I do not understand how we are created with intelligence and how we can speak as a human being and say, oh, religion is a good thing. Because if you go through the history of religion, you would find genocide, you would find all things that is quite despicable.
Okay, you said that you're not academically astute in this. Let me quote you somebody that is. She used to be a nun, she's not a nun anymore, she doesn't follow any religion. Her name is Karen Armstrong. She's written a book called Fields of Blood, and she had an interview in which she was saying as well, she's been interviewed a number of times, her conclusion after going through the Crusades, after going through the World Wars, after going through ISIS, all of these issues, she has concluded that majority, if not all of these violences that are lumbered onto religion are not necessarily religion-based, but they were done for geopolitical, sociological, power-grabbing, money, these sorts of reasons. Religion was mainly used as a pawn. It was used as an object for the person in power to utilize it. However, it was not necessarily the religion itself that called for that. For example, the killing of women and children. I can tell you not only the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said it, I can tell you the chain of narration, the accuracy by which we can use testimony to prove and evidence the reliability of that statement. However, now, Vernon, if somebody does it, I was a school teacher for 6 years as well, and I can tell you, Vernon, I spent a great deal of time trying to teach children certain principles, certain things, and I'm telling you that you cannot control human beings that have free will. Even as a person of power that wants the best for the kids, sometimes, like you said, you have to let people make their mistakes and learn from those mistakes. That's one of the ways of teaching somebody.
That's the reason why we're here.
But also the fact that those children, if somebody did that and somebody said, oh, he was in Zishan's class, he did that, the blame should fall on Zishan. I think that's extremely unfair, because I didn't force that child to believe in that. I didn't pressure that child to believe in that. I let that child and I gave them that freedom to explore that concept. I taught them, they understood it, but I've given them that free will to understand and appreciate. If they follow it, that's good. If they don't, then obviously that's up to them. Do you see? But we have that free will.
It means, what it means if they don't follow it, it means that
they're lost.
They have their experience. They experience, that's what we're all about. Do you know why we're here? Do you know why we're here?
I do, because I believe our experience is nothing compared to the knowledge that God has. My experience is only hopefully 60, 70 years, but then I'm going to be gone. God has been, He is...
I'm lucky, I'm 82, so I'm all right.
So,
I'm gonna tell you something that you can't accept, and then I'm gonna go. I have seen the manifestation of God. I witnessed from the beginning a pinhead light, and I've witnessed the complete manifestation, and everything it felt, I felt, which is, I don't know how to explain it. And then at one stage I thought, well, I've experienced this before, and then all of a sudden, on completion, there was this love. You can't, well, I don't know how I can talk about it now, but I used to cry and tremble. This love, the emotion was so powerful. And then what I discovered lately is, through my experiences, that when God created, His creation knew all there is to know, because we were a portion. The creation was a portion of God, so they knew all what God knew, and God understood that if all His creation knows what He knows, then they would be lacking in experience. So He decided then to create the opposite to who we are, to those that knows. So he created the opposite. The opposite is what you call demons, devil, Lucifer, whatever it may be.
Why do we seek knowledge then, if we know everything?
Pardon?
Why do we seek knowledge if we know everything?
If we know everything, we'll be lacking in experience.
No, but experience and knowledge are two different things.
Well, yeah, but he created so that he can have experience. He understood the importance of experience, and experience is to expand. Is to expand your.
How do you know this? You're gonna say through experience again, isn't it?
Well,
I have to take your word for it.
I know it. No, well, I have to take your word for it when you refer to your prophet. I take your word for it.
No, but you shouldn't.
I was not in the cave, so I don't know.
No, but
I was not in the cave. I don't know. What is written, I don't know if it's true or false. What I know in life is what I experience. That's all I know.
But what you said about me is, and my beliefs is, I can evidence those using evidence. So what I'm asking you is, what's the evidence that God actually wants?
You can't use any evidence to convince me, because the evidence that you would use comes from a written book. Besides that, you can't say the things that you're saying.
Not necessarily. I can give you other evidences.
The only evidence you can give me is what you experience.
No. I can give you philosophical evidence, rational evidence. I can give you testimony-based evidence. I can give you.
Maybe I'm not a rational guy. Maybe I'm not a philosophical guy.
If you're not a rational guy, then that's going to obviously make the conversation more difficult, then, isn't it?
Well, the more difficult it might be, the better.
But you're rational enough to understand that it's cold today, you're wearing a jacket. You're rational enough to put your hands in your pocket. So if you're rational enough to follow those basic needs, you're rational enough to understand some of the rational things.
I think those examples that you're giving are quite trivial, actually. I don't think the conversation we're having and those examples is completely way out of context.
No, because if you say you're irrational,
it was a figure of speech, because you were saying.
I understand. I clearly know it's not the case, but what I'm saying is, and I'm merely showing you that. If you said that, let's just say, I am irrational, then me telling you, for you to decide to put on a jacket, put your hands in your pocket, these are rational choices made, of course, by experience also, but it is a sign of an intelligent person, understands what's going on around him, is able to say, look, if P is Q, P then Q. If it is cold, I will put on a jacket. It is cold, therefore I will put on a jacket. That's logic. Yeah, that's logic, modus ponens, one-on-one.
You want me to tell you something about logic?
Go ahead.
Creation is not logical. God is not logical. Nothing about God is logical. And nothing about creation is logical. And that's the problem that science have on this planet. You see, if they live to be another 1,000,000 years, they will never, ever be able to explain consciousness.
How do you know that, though?
Because I do. Because in order for them to do that, what it would take 300 years for them to learn, they can learn that in 10 years. If they were to accept that there is a creator. But science can't accept that. They have everything about them starts from theories to logic.
How do you prove that there's a creator?
Well, I've seen it.
You've seen the creator?
Yes.
Like in the flesh or in person?
No, there's no flesh, no.
Experience?
I told you what I experienced.
Right.
I told you that I experienced a manifestation of it.
When you say manifestation, break that down for me.
Well, the manifestation is that
it's like in a dream?
No. Well, that's the other thing, is that it's like in a dream, you said, that it appears that I was having some very unusual experiences. And then it appears that I was taken to a place. It was like a void. There was absolutely, completely darkness. But through this darkness...
I'll get that.
Thank you. Through this darkness, there was a pinhead of a light. And I saw that light slowly and gradually manifest. Until it becomes, when it was complete, it manifested into like a planet itself of pure light. But that was not important. It's what I was feeling, that everything it felt, I was feeling what it was thing. And then, at the end of it, it allowed me to know what it was. An explosion of love. That being a human being and what we experience on planet Earth is completely different. It's so powerful that your body trembles, and you can cry if you try to speak about it. At that time, I couldn't speak about it. If I did, tears would come in my eyes. But it never said a word, and that's a good thing, because Jesus said, "No man has ever seen God, and no man has ever heard His voice or seen His shape." And that to me is a good thing.
You believe in Jesus, yeah?
I don't believe in Jesus. I know there is. I knew that there was John. You were to meditate, and you were to create Jesus.
How can you prove Jesus existed?
Well, I'm explaining to you.
Okay.
Through meditation.
That's subjective, though.
Well, when I first came here, there were two little sprites. I've seen one of them here today, and they were telling me about subjective and objective, and then they make an issue of it because I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. I mean, I know it's sad. I was 50-something, 60-something years of age, but
it's sad that they didn't explain it to you. If you asked them, they should have explained it.
No, I didn't want to explain it to me because they had an attitude problem.
I see.
It wasn't like egotistic.
Right.
You see what I mean? And there again, but the ego is a good thing, because the ego allows us to know that we are creators, because we're not created with an ego, but we create the ego mindlessly through information that we receive. You see? So, and that's how they acted. And there was another one there, chap that used to stand there, and I tried to have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
And he said to me he had a PhD in Islam, and I'm not qualified to speak with him. So I said, okay.
That's not very nice.
Well, it doesn't matter, is it? That's how he felt about it.
Yeah.
Right, anyway, so you come back up here again next Sunday?
Yeah. Hopefully, yeah. Well, it was nice speaking to you.
Same to me.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was interesting. And take care as well.
And have a nice Christmas.
Yeah, I'm just going to take these microphones off you.
Oh! Why do you have microphones in me?
I don't know about these two. Somebody put them onto you. I know this one. This is our one.
Take care. All the best.
Thank you. Bye.
There you go.
These are yours, yeah?
Yes, my brother.